following program is a peer-to-peer advice show and does not diagnose mental health conditions. If you're seeking social services, please call or text 211 or go to 211.ca. Hello, listeners around the world on radio, streaming, and podcast services. This is It's Not Therapy. I'm Liana Kersner, and I am not a therapist, but I am your source for navigating the madness of mental health using my top 10 sayings for going good crazy. I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving up here in Canada. The last month for me has been either holidays that involve eating a lot or holidays that involve eating nothing, which is not great for someone like me in recovery for an eating disorder, but I'm managing. We're through all the eating stuff until Christmas. Ooh, okay, yeah. It was also tough to take the time off because Yom Kippur fell on a Thursday this year. I run my own business and I work from home. So let me tell you that setting good work boundaries, especially regarding time off, that's difficult because if I don't work, I don't get paid. Now, remote work like I do, it's a kind of a controversial subject right now because depending on what study you look at, it's either great for productivity or it's terrible for productivity. Ironically, the fast-paced, hard-charging world of the tech and information industries is the biggest source of full-time remote workers, at least in North America. So it must be working for some people and not just in a company save money by needing less office space kind of way. Now, I know I used to have to work open concept office and it was, well, for me, it was terrible. Even with expensive noise-canceling headphones, which, of course, I had to buy at my own expense, I just couldn't concentrate with people moving around next to me and behind me. Even university libraries were terrible places for me to try and study. Libraries have that, ASMR thing going on where every little rustle just gets amplified, and I was acutely aware of every movement of anybody around me. Like the slightest cough would be blah. It totally threw me out of the task I was trying to complete. And yes, this was before I was diagnosed with PTSD. So hypervigilance probably has a lot to do with this, but the reasons I work better at home don't change the fact that I work better in a private office where I can shut down distractions when I need to. And it's easier to do that at home than at an office where most people do not get their own space these days, cat interruptions aside for me. Now, other benefits of remote work, as if on cue, hi Scout. Other benefits of remote work is that I get sick far less often than I did when I used to work in an office. I eat a lot more healthy, and I get 3 to 4 hours back every day that was previously spent commuting. It's also easier to work around doctors and dentist appointments because I can schedule them during the day. Note that easier does not mean easy. It's still way hard to get specialist medical appointments at convenient times. The number of specialists are like, well, we're in office Wednesday and Thursday, especially surgeons. And, those are the worst days of the week for me. Now, in a perfect world, employers would understand that these are realities and they care about, the ongoing health of their employees, and they'd be more flexible and understanding about this stuff. But we live in our world. And even the government of Ontario, the Canadian province I live in, is mandating back to in-office work 5 days a week going in January. Now, the unions are fighting it on technicalities, but, Premier Doug Ford believes it's easier to be mentored and collaborate when everybody's in office. You think it makes people more productive. The potential problem is that there are reports that the province currently doesn't have enough office space for all the returning workers because they downsized in recent years, but that's, outside the scope of this program. Anyone who has ever worked in an office knows that mentorship and collaboration don't happen every single day. When mentorship happens every single day, that's called micromanagement in a lot of places. And strangely, the, federal counterpart in conservative politics in Canada, Pierre Poilievre, criticized Prime Minister Mark Carney for doing a lot of foreign trips to collaborate with other world leaders in person, claiming the results don't justify the costs of the trips. Now, I'm not using that comparison to be partisan. Quite the opposite. I'm using it to make the point that any broad strokes pronouncement on this issue of what to do remote, what to do in person is bound to leave somebody feeling alienated, and even people aligned in other sort of ways, wildly don't agree. Now, in offices where everyone gets along great and morale is high, more days in office is probably awesome. But it's undeniable that constant collaboration work environments show an unfair preference towards extroverts and neurotypical people who are far less prone to overwhelm than introverts and neurodiverse people. Now, introverts are anywhere from 25 to 50% of the population. So, that's excluding a lot of people when you insist on only one way to work. And that's just one way to slice up work styles. I personally don't know anybody who wouldn't agree that there are benefits to in-person collaboration. Forgive the double negative. But I also don't know anyone who thinks that a workplace where the potential for interruption is constant is good either. And that's the thing about office work, right? There's always that guy at the office who spends most of his time wandering around talking to people, then rushes his work last minute if he doesn't pawn it off on someone else. And bosses seem to love that guy because they think he's a good team player. Then there's the fact that some of us, I see a lot of value in in-person meetings, but driving 2 hours each way to meet for 30 minutes is not a good use of time in a world where Zoom exists. Teleconferencing has created a whole new type of collaboration that doesn't require people to live in areas with extremely expensive rents just so that they can be close to work. And with businesses, especially businesses in Canada, feeling the pinch, this is important right now. What's also important is that remote work has been a big reason that I've been able to continue working full-time even though I have an autoimmune disease. Maximizing potential in employees means recognizing that one work strategy does not fit all employees or all tasks or all types of jobs equally well. Lately, I've been most productive in the hour before I go to sleep, and that is not my favorite thing. This is new. Like, this is in the last, since I got my new laptop. But I have to take productivity where I can get it. I'm not going to argue it. Hopefully it won't last. Now, I've always been relatively self-disciplined. Though, going back to high school, I had that written agenda that I used. I was that kind of nerd, right? And I know that some people struggle more with organization. Everybody, I don't care who you are, also fights to balance being available with protecting our focus time. The busier you are, the more things you have on the go, the more people want your time. And, you have to be able to divide it up. And that is a problem that my guest this week is working on solutions for. I can't wait for you to meet Stephen Puri, founder of the Sukha Company, the focus and co-working app. He'll be here to talk to us after the break. Now, if you don't feel energized after listening to Stephen talk, I cannot help you. He's a very dynamic personality, and he's going to be focusing on the concept of flow and how it can work with remote work. Now, obviously, things are going to spring from there, but that's the power of collaboration. Do you want to collaborate with this show? Do you have a story you think would be good for the show? Are you interested in sponsoring the show? Liana at nottherapyshow.com. is my email. Nottherapyshow.com is my website. At nottherapyshow on social media. Remote work and flow with Stephen Puri, founder of the Sukha Company. When we come back on It's Not Therapy. The following program is a peer-to-peer advice show and does not diagnose mental health conditions. If you're seeking social services, please call or text 211 or go to 211.ca. We're back in It's Not Therapy. I'm still Liana Kersner. I'm still not a therapist. We are talking remote work. And the reason we're talking about remote work is here right now. Stephen Puri. Yeah, Stephen's here. Stephen has a very illustrious media background. I don't know if I should name drop, Stephen, some of the places you've worked for, because you're not doing that anymore. You're doing productivity apps, right?
Yeah.
The Sukha.co. The Sukha.co is your productivity app. And you are, would you say you're an expert on flow states?
I would say this. I have done a lot of research on it. There are many people who spent their lives on it. And I want to respect, I would call them experts. I would call myself someone who is spreading information from the smart people to everyone who needs it.
So we are the same in this. Now, flow state is one of those
taller,
things.
But yeah.
Sure. I won't hold that against you. Flow state is something you see a lot on, especially on LinkedIn, but it is different for everybody. So that's where I want to start.
I would say different-ish.
Yeah.
We should talk about that.
Yes, that's where I want to start. What
Okay.
is...
Should we dive in?
Yeah, what is and is not a flow state?
Okay. Well, first let me say thanks for having me. And thank you to everyone listening, playing along in their car or at home or whatever, right? I hope this is fun and engaging and also helpful in some actionable ways. So Liana is speaking to my heart. I'm going to assume that there is a portion of the audience out there that goes, I am a flow master. I'm in flow states 24 hours a day. I got this. And there's another portion of the audience that's like, I've heard of it. I know it's in the zeitgeist. Can you clear it up for me? So let's spend 60 seconds just setting the table so everyone's on equal footing for this conversation, okay? Mm-hmm. There was a Hungarian-American psychologist. This guy, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, he had a thesis. He said, if you listen to high performers in various disciplines, athletes and artists, scientists, inventors, they go into these high concentrated states where they do the work that makes them famous, that moves the world, and they talk about it in very similar ways. What's up with that? So he went off and did the research, wrote a book called Flow. It is the seminal work on this. It is from whence we get the term flow state. And I love this. He said, I chose this word because I think it's the most beautiful metaphor for what I found. We are all on the river, paddling to move ourselves forward. But if you align your boat with the current, it carries you. You go further and faster. It magnifies your efforts. That's what these high performers have learned to do, and do it consistently. So in that book, he lays out a couple things. Here, basically the characteristics of it, so you can recognize, oh, this is a flow state. And he puts forth, here's some of the conditions precedent that seem to help getting in there. And I have dedicated myself to understanding this. I also run, as you mentioned, the Sukha Company, which is a flow state website. It is something for people who are like, hey, man, I want to try this on for size. Can you make it easy? It takes the components you need, the music, the timer, the distraction blocking, puts it in one place, right? So I'm super passionate about this and ready for your next question, Liana.
Yes. Now that you said distractions.
Oh, I've heard of it.
Yes, they are a thing. And I mean, you're here to talk about remote work as well. That's sort of a focus of your app. And I find remote work really helps flow. I can't focus when, even if I'm at a library or a coffee shop, there is too much stuff that triggers my herbivore brain.
You want to stare at each other across the open hot desk?
Yeah,
that doesn't help you do great work?
No, I did not do well in a hot desk situation.
I have some fluorescent lights if you'd like them.
I hear them. They're terrible.
Right? They're buzzing.
But right. They do. And apparently some people can hear them and some people can't. Some people work great in a coffee shop. I don't. We live in a
So
world
true.
of work right now that's one size fits all. We've got a ton in the news up here about various governments mandating back to office.
Yep.
Now, is in-person office work best for everyone's productivity? Is that true?
Everything is the best for everyone all the time because we're all one size fits all. Hold on, that's not true.
Right, right.
So let me be as concise as I can because obviously I have a lot of thoughts on this, but this is a very contained format. So I have been fortunate that when I worked in film for 20 years, film for 100 years has done remote, hybrid, in person. Just the natural progress of a film when writers are writing alone or in coffee shops or in their writing partner's living room. You get some traction on a project, a little production office, 2 days a week, you're all in there together. Then everyone goes out and does their work the rest of the week. And then you're on set and it's all day and all night for months on
Mm-hmm.
end. Then it goes back to hybrid with editors working and remote, right? So for film, it's not a shock to the system. Like, how do you lead or how do you be an IC in each of those stages, right? You would never call it that. It'd be weird if you're like talking to your film buddy, well, you're in the hybrid stage of your film. They'd be like, what? But if you were to say, oh, you're in development, you're in prep, you're in pre-production, you're in post-production, you're in photography, it's basically the codes for that's how that works, right? So I say this to set the table for, yeah, I know it was a shock to the system for many verticals when suddenly it's like, oh, if we sit under the same fluorescent lights 10 hours a day, we'll kill each other. We need to work separately, right?
Mm-hmm.
Zoom is a verb now. The upshot, the after effect of that is not that everything needs to be treated as if it's COVID, we're going to kill each other.
Right.
There are a lot of activities, as you said, that are fantastic to do alone. And some people thrive on that. There are some things, and I'll be very open with you. I'm a fan of remote work, but I'll tell you, I've never had a Zoom or a Google Meet about a creative topic that is felt as rich or successful as being in person. When it's, Liana, something's wrong with the third act. I think it's probably the second act climax is off. Let's just, I don't know, sort of like bat some ideas around. And you're in the coffee shop, you're in the conference room, you're going for a walk together. There's something about that chemistry of like something in the UI is off here. You know what? How does Robinhood do it? Oh, Duolingo has a cool thing here. Let's look at those together and bring. There's something about that. Never had it on a Zoom, but there's a lot of work that I do between coding, blog writing, things like that, designing that is perfect for working remotely, which is also perfect for flow states, right? Which is why I'm very passionate about that. So all this to say, I think there is a case to say use the correct tool for the correct activity. And if you are running a general contractor company with bricklayers, yes, they're going to be on site laying bricks with mortar. It's just the best way to do it. You can't do it over Zoom, right? And if you were to say, hey, could you go off and come up with an amazing design idea? Take the day, work from wherever. If you're inspired by being at the beach, go to the beach. I don't care. What I care is when you walk in the meeting tomorrow, you say the thing that everyone in the staff meeting goes, oh my God, we should do what she just said. That's what I care about. And ultimately, that is hopefully a migration in our work lives of work is defined by the effect of your action, not by where or when you did it.
Yeah.
So back to you in
No,
this review.
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
Please, Rome.
That comparison to film is really apt, right? Because there's been the
good word.
stereotype apt. Yeah.
I like to think of myself as apt, at least in the mornings.
It sounds so good, doesn't apt?
Right. Sort of like I was whelmed.
Yes.
Were you underwhelmed or overwhelmed? No, I was.
I say that.
Whelmed.
You go back to really old books and they actually do use whelmed. Like around the 18th century. Yeah.
If we use it now and everyone looks, they're like, what?
Yeah. But this is another thing where the conversation just kind of flowed in a direction, right? And when we think about productivity, we tend to think about it in straight lines, not what we just did, but what we just did there established a comfort, right? It was us knowing each other as people, bouncing off each other, and in our sort of hyper organized, misunderstood productivity workplace. That's the stuff that gets killed. Yes.
Yeah, this is the thing. Absolutely. It's like if we were writing a comedy script and you and I are writing partners, like a lot of it's like this, and we're going, oh yeah, that's a good bit. We should use that. Oh, who would say that? You know what? That would be Will's character because he's much more the one he was. That's how that works. But if you and I were accountants, it would be like, no, please go to row 231 of the spreadsheet. Do that next. You know what I mean? It's very linear. So
yeah.
Where I would I'd go with this is I hope, and I've seen this in some great organizations, and I hope this is becoming infectious, is there is now a concept that is built on the liberation of, in the modern world, you can work with anyone anywhere, pretty much, unless you're a bricklayer or something on site. But if you're a knowledge worker, you're running a knowledge organization, I can say there is an amazing designer in Dubai. I want to work with her. There's a great software engineer in Montreal. It's not 20 miles from my headquarters, right? So there's a lot of the reinventions happening to help companies win. And ultimately, what is winning is going to get successful and popular, right?
Right.
So if we harness that, it's great, which is why, for example, like, the idea of a flow state is becoming more popular because people are suddenly going like, man, when I have time to actually go deep for an hour or two, not you have 7 minutes between Zoom stand-ups, like nothing gets done except returning a couple slacks or, some emails. And there is no company became $1 trillion company because they returned all their emails. Like, you guys are so good. Gold star, Slack empty, it is that thing of saying, yesterday I actually had some time to think and ... And it may be a great idea. It may be a bad idea. It may be a bad idea that someone else says, but that makes me think of, and then they build on that, which is very much the brainstorming process, right? So I say all this to say, as we move towards a world where hopefully we're flexible in terms of where activities are done, and some things can be done in person better, that we are also flexible about how do we get the best tool for the activity. If I have a staff of copywriters or of designers or of engineers, and I say to them, you know what? I've noticed that when you guys have like 2 hour block, that's when you do your best work, not when you have 17 minutes between this stand up, that client meeting, this stupid meeting. Blah, blah. So what if we were to say, let's vote on when we could do that every day? And just say, let's try it as a test for a week or two. Everyone votes first thing in the morning is when I'm most clear, 9 to 11. You know what? Then let's just have an agreement here. Let's not set stupid meetings with each other or with clients between 9 and 11. There's enough time in the day to have that stupid meeting, right? And let's see if that measurably changes the quality of what this team is producing over a week, next week, 2 weeks, something. And it doesn't have to be a mandate for a year. And if we dig it, let's go forward or modify it, right? So that sense of you need to time block is a condition that you as a leader set to encourage people to do great work, which, yes, to get into a flow state, for example, a lot of research, 15 to 23 minutes to drop in. You don't just snap your fingers and you're like, I'm in flow, right? You need time to drop in where the world falls away, distractions fall away, time falls away. You're doing great work. The result of a flow state, as Mihai wrote, is not only do you do great work faster, but at the end of it, you feel energized. You feel the joy of being in control, as opposed to the depletion of I ground it out and I'm just wasted, right? So you as a leader can set that and say, we're going to do an experiment. How about we just try from like whatever time? Maybe people vote for the afternoon. Maybe they're like, actually, 3 to 5 is great for us. And just see what comes out of that. Now, I'll tell you, I speak, given, I run a big community of people who are being focused, being in flow states and all that, and they're very friendly. I talk to a lot of leaders and ICs about their questions about productivity. You DM me on the side and stuff, right? I'll tell you the number one problem that leaders have is basically, if you dig down, it's fear. Can't see Liana, so I don't know what she's doing. And it'll really rarely get articulated exactly that bluntly. There's a lot of coded, sort of veiled language around it, right? But usually when you really dig down, well, why? Well, why? Well, why? It's like, I don't know what she's doing. And that is incredibly honest. If someone will tell you that, if a leader will say, it's really this. And what it points to, and it is a real solution, so it points to a problem with hiring.
Yes. All right.
Because I'm
going to disrupt your flow.
Your turn.
That's a great teaser. This is a great time to go to commercial break. I am talking to the absolutely captivating Stephen Puri, who has...
Sounds good. I want to listen to me now.
Yes, there you go. The Sukha.co, THECUKAHA.co.
No. Let's spell that properly. THE, the SUKHA. Sukha. It's a Sanskrit word. SUKHA.co. Yes.
Right. It is a productivity app. Check it out. There is a 7-day free trial. When we come back, I want to talk about hiring when we come back on It's Not Therapy. Questions, comments, any feedback whatsoever. Who is this cool Stephen guy? How do I get in touch with him? Liana at nottherapyshow.com. Nottherapyshow.com is the website, at Not Therapy on all socials. When we come back, flow states, remote work, fear, and hiring, not in Las Vegas, when we come back on It's Not Therapy.
I'm excited. I was going to leave, but now I'm coming back.
You're allowed to go to the bathroom, Stephen. Really. Don't have an accident. The following program is a peer-to-peer advice show and does not diagnose mental health conditions. If you're seeking social services, please call or text 211 or go to 211.ca. We're back in It's Not Therapy. I'm still Liana Kersner. I'm still not a therapist. I'm still having a fascinating conversation with Stephen Puri of thesukha.com, the Sanskrit word Sukha, THESUKHA.co. And before the break, when I interrupted Stephen's flow, talking about the hiring problems that lead to fear in managers, and I'm going to add the part euphemized by saying, I can't mentor with remote work. Is that sort? Yeah, that's one of the euphemisms.
Okay, so let us pick this up. Love this topic because in talking with a lot of leaders, here is the thing: is as a true leader, I'm not talking about a manager. I'm not talking about, hey, we have to have all the bugs squashed by Thursday at 4 so we can release on Friday morning. I'm talking about someone who leads, right? And when you consider what are the most important things you do as a leader, right? There are really two big ones that stand out. There is, you declare a mission. We are here to cure cancer. We are here to make great romantic comedies. We are here to come up with carbon-free emission vehicles, whatever it is, right? And the second thing is, you declare a set of values. This is how we treat each other. This is how we treat our customers. This is how we treat our competitors. If you do those two things well, you attract people into your team that are value aligned. And let me tell you something. If I'm talking to you, Liana, I'm like, we're here to cure cancer, and you're like, my dad died of cancer. I have a degree in oncology. This is what I'm excited about. I do not need to watch you at 3 p.m. on Tuesday to know what you're doing because I know you're moving that ball down the field. But if I interview you and you're like, I've had 5 jobs in 6 years and I love Indeed, I would be an idiot to hire you because you are just going to be here for a year and gone. And then I do wonder at 3:00 on Tuesday, are you with your dog at the beach? So it is a hiring problem in almost every circumstance that I've come up to. Now, leaders, of course, can be developed to be greater leaders, more inspirational, articulate things better. We can all improve, but that is a fundamental thing. It's like if you assemble a team who are like, hell's yeah, that's why we're here, then you are there to release the greatness inside them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's another thing that's given a lot of lip service, right? But when you really come down to it, I've had so many strategy sessions where I'm like, what are your priorities? Maximum of 3. And
right,
getting
exactly. If you have more than 3, you don't know what they are.
That's not a priority. And you'll get 10. I saw this one young man that came to me. He paid lots of money for this business plan, and he had like a list of 20 priorities, and they were all marked 1 on importance.
That had to be a fun conversation.
It was heartbreaking, right? Because the kid was lost. It was the exact opposite of what you were saying. That I find when there's no priorities, people don't realize it's making them lost.
Yeah,
but it does. How do you anticipate what your boss wants you to do when you don't have, this is what we're doing it, this is how we're doing it, right?
Yeah, that's very true. And this, when you're talking, I categorize this as great management, which is, okay, within our organization, here are things we need to do. By the way, this is how we dole out who's responsible for what, like that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I do think that there is a higher level of organization that I've seen perform, and I'd like to believe I've been part of at times in the most humble way, which is if you as a leader start with the fundamental thesis, everyone has something great inside, which I believe.
Yeah.
And the question of this lifetime is, are you going to get it out or not? That great thing may be the next great American novel, creating the company, the restaurant, the, you know, studio that makes movie, whatever it is, right? So whatever that thing is you need to release, are you going to die with that inside you? And if
Right.
you are a great leader, you are assembling people where you recognize the great thing inside them and you go, I know how to set the conditions where they are going to sing their song. And that ultimately is how we feel great. You know, as much as it's fun to say, oh, I'm going to go to the beach every day, or, you know, go to Disneyland every day, at a certain point that gets old. It's
Yeah.
not actually that fulfilling. It's diverting, but to do something, you go, actually, today I did something I think that moved the world a little bit. That's Sukha. That's
Yeah.
really important. We can talk about it, you know, if you want, but that's really what I aim for in my leadership and also in just the flow state app that we created.
I think that's really on point because um uh, so many thoughts, but
Mm-hmm.
that sense of doing something that matters
Mm-hmm.
definitely focuses the mind. And again, when you go back to this is our I'm using focus in a different way now.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a focus to be able to focus, right?
Yeah,
If you've got
true.
five different things you're doing, it doesn't work. You need the one thing
Yeah.
you keep going back to when you're on page 85 of a script and you're in that god awful transition from act 2 to act 3 or act 4 to act 5 where it just goes, it's just running through your fingers like
Yeah.
soup. Where am I going?
Yeah.
That's how you get back on track. And then because there's usually 15 to 20 ways to do something properly,
Mm-hmm. Correct.
those values are what makes you whittle that down to 3 or 4.
I will tell
Now
you
you
a
have
personal
productivity.
problem.
Yeah.
I am medically diagnosed with ADHD. It doesn't present so much as hyperactivity, but the I believe I can multitask and I get shiny objects in my field of view. That sort of thing is a big thing for me, right? One of the things that I found, this is just me talk about my problem, which now people come to me with, is yeah, sometimes I'm overwhelmed because in the morning, there's 17 things on my to do list. And like you said, I could kind of do all of them. They all need to get done, and I need to prioritize. So what I did was in Sukha, the thing we built, which I basically built to help me,
Right.
is I can capture all 17. So, you know, the Zagarnik effect of like just releasing the short term memory and just say, I have it all and capture it. I don't need to
Mm-hmm.
think about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I hit play and I start my session and the music begins and the timer starts and, you know, my smart assistant greets me, my smart assistant hides everything but the top three.
That's
So there
great.
can be 17 things, but I'm only going to have in my field of view the three that actually I've said move the needle for me today. And that's for the exact reasons. If you have 7 things on that list, you're fooling yourself. It's not today. Today is these three. And then it also becomes more achievable
Oh
because when
yeah.
you're not looking at a daunting list, you sort of go, I do go, oh, you know, I could do that. I could get that done. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I found that too. I found that if there isn't a time of day that I am doing even a simple task,
Mhm.
it gets bumped down because there's so many important
Yeah.
priorities. And
Yeah.
especially when you're dealing with people's mental health, I mean, everything's important all the time, right?
Yeah.
What is important right now in this moment, not tomorrow, not next week, because that's schedule catastrophizing.
Yeah.
Right. When everything gets so big, you feel very small and then you do nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
truly, what we want to feel is we want to feel in control of our life. We want to know we're doing the thing that we are meant to do here. And we're good at it. And we're recognized for it both internally as well as externally. And when you're in control of your day, it's just an entirely different way to
Yeah.
go into your night. It's an
Yeah.
entirely different, it's a different level of excitement to start the next day when you go, yesterday was actually, I felt great. Like I got to do the
Yeah.
things that are important.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I do think that that stops the overwhelm, the bitterness from bleeding into a work. We've all read something that somebody produced that obviously had all the bile about having to do the task ended up on the page, right?
Yeah.
When people feel good and people feel,
Mhm.
I know empowered is a cliche, but that sense that you are kind of centered and with it and you're good at this, it shows.
It's not a cliche. I named my company after a conversation I had that was about this. I had a working version of what would become the Sukha Company, right? We had some early members, and Laura, my wife now, we met in yoga 10 years ago, right? Yoga is a daily part of our life, which is why Sanskrit words you hear all the time, the karma, the dharma, and all that stuff, right?
Mhm.
So for our honeymoon, we went to Bali, which is a great place when you do yoga. Go do yoga on the beach for 10 days with your new wife, right? On the way there, I said to her, you know what? Amazon is such a cool name. It's not called like online bookstore, right? Nike is such a powerful name. Winged Victory, right? It's not called like shoe place. I want something better than like flow state app or a distraction blocker for this. And I've been struggling. I've come with every bad name possible in those brainstorming lists, right? So she's like, I wish that for you. So we landed in Bali, go to the hotel, and I said to her, you know what? Maybe in the next 10 days, something bubbles up. But you know what might help my unconscious mind? Do you mind if I talk really quickly today, like two or three people who are early members, and just go, what's your favorite feature? And maybe over 10 days it'll bubble up. She's like, I'm going to the pool, but you enjoy your Zooms. I will see you at dinner. Right. So I put in the group chat. I was like, who has a minute to talk to me? Just 10 minutes. Talk to three people. Said, what's your favorite feature? Like, do you love the music? Do you love the timers, the smart assistant, the website blocker? What is it? Right. Third guy, we're going to the wrap up. And I was like, you know what? His name was Jeff. I was like, Jeff, I promised 10 minutes. I want to respect your time. Thank you. Let's wrap up. And he stopped me and he said, Steven, you asked the wrong questions.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, guy, I don't know that well. Tell me more.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take the bait. What was the right question? He said, you should have asked me why I pay you. And I was like, dude, we charge like $10 a month. It's like 30 cents a day. This is not a Birkin bag, right? But okay, why do you pay me? And he said, the past year or two, I find I have two kinds of days. At 3 o'clock, I can be playing with my kids. They're currently 2 and 4. Or at 6 o'clock, I can be down myself. Where did the day go? I was busy all day. The big thing didn't get done. I suck. Ugh. And he said, I realized the difference is, did I hit play in your stupid website that morning? So I pay you because my kids are not going to be 2 and 4 forever.
That is a different question.
And I was like, you won that round. Like that hits me really hard. Okay, got it. So I go to dinner with Laura. I was like, I spoke to this dude who's more articulate about what I do than I am. This is what he said.
That's usually the way it is, though, isn't it?
Someone from the outside,
Yeah,
just says that.
yeah,
and
yeah.
I told her what he said, and she's like, "That's actually really like you should hire him. That's really good, you know." And we were brushing our teeth, going to bed that night, little spa robes on, being little honeymooners on our first night. And she looked at me and she said, in yoga we hear all these Sanskrit, dharma and karma, all these concepts in Sanskrit. The universe, you wanted it to speak to you, right? It did through that guy.
Yeah.
That's Sukha. What he described to you is that feeling of being in control. You're self-fulfilled. You're in your lane doing the thing you're meant to do, and you're good at it, and you're in control of your day. She's like, that's the problem with your naming. You're trying to name it after the tool of like website blocker or like, flow state app. And he's telling you it's about where he wants to go. He wants to feel in control of his day. And I looked up my phone, the Sukha Company, the happiness company, website was available, bought it, we went to bed.
That's always a big part
of
it.
$14 spent from Bali.
Yeah, but that's always, is the website available? How does it Google? Those
pretty much. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Liana, it's not a joke. Yeah. That went through my mind. I was like, before I get attached to that, just want to see if the website's available.
Yeah. Creativity is like any crime, motive and opportunity. So we're coming to the end, even though I could talk to you for hours about this.
We could do another one someday.
Absolutely. I'd love to. We talked about the Sukha app in sort of broad terms, but when people sign up for their 7-day trial, let's set expectations. Why give it a try? What will they experience?
That is such a generous question. Thank you for asking that. And here's the answer is there is some portion of your audience that says, I would like to feel that energy of being in flow, of getting stuff done sooner and doing good work and being in control of my day. If they raise their hand, they're like, they want to try this, I'm there for them, which is we offer a 7-day trial, and it's not funny business about put your credit card in. We'll charge you if you don't cancel. We don't ask for a credit card until after the 7 days. You can use it 168 hours straight if you want for free. All the music, all the timers, all the smart assistant, the website blocker. We have a Chrome extension that'll help you with stuff. Like all it's free. Is I'll tell you this: the people who actually use it who go, I'm going to block out a couple of hours this week and do this. When they sign up, we have, and I'm not making this up, 94% month over month paid retention. Because once you've done that and you're like, oh, this feels a lot different. I would like to be happy in my life. It's really hard to go back.
Yeah.
Right. So hire for that. It's free for 7 days. All you need is an email address.
Right. So you heard that, guys. You don't have to put your credit card in right off the top.
But block time. As we talked about, flow state is not, hey, man, I signed up, I hit play, I heard music, I stopped, I don't really get it. It's not like Brain FM, which is a great product, or Endel or something, where they're just music players.
Right.
It is something where you need to say, oh, you know what? I need to write that blog post. I need to write that bit of code. I need to design that thing. And it's going to take me an hour or two. Use it. When you're done, you hit stop on the website. See how you feel. Because that's what we bottle and sell. That feeling.
Okay. So it's a website too. You don't have to download an app.
You don't have to download anything. It's a website. It's a web app. It's a website. You go to thesukha.co, enter, sign up. You can be using it in 20 seconds. But have something you need to do. It's going to take an hour, or else you're not going to get it. You're going to be like, I don't know. It's like music.
Right. So if somebody's got a task that they need to get done and it's going to take a little bit, it's not a 15-minute thing. It's a 1 hour, 2 hour.
Correct.
Must get done. Go to thesukha.co, TheSukha.co, 7-day free trial, guys. No credit card required. Yep. Stephen, thanks very much for coming on.
This is super fun. And yeah, if you want to get deeper into any of these other topics, I'd be glad to come back. This is just super fun and short.
I'm going to hold you for that because I am whelmed. I am not overwhelmed. I am not overwhelmed.
I aim to whelm.
In the state of whelm. It's a wonderful world. It has a shape.
Celebrate that.
Stephen, thanks so much for coming on. It's Not
Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for listening.
When we come back, final thoughts on this topic and any other thing I decide to tangent into. It's whelming. It's so whelming. Anyway, questions, comments, any feedback. Are you also whelmed? Liana at nottherapyshow.com. Nottherapyshow.com is the website. At nottherapyshow on social media. When we come back. The following program is a peer-to-peer advice show and does not diagnose mental health conditions. If you're seeking social services, please call or text 211 or go to 211.ca. We're back and It's Not Therapy. I'm still Liana Kersner. I'm still not a therapist. We are still talking about remote work, productivity, flow, all that stuff. And I will just disclose that I have recommended the Sukha Company to quite a few people since I found out about it. In our final minutes, I want to talk about something else that Stephen said about values and motivation, because it's a connection that doesn't get talked about enough when you're managing remote workers, but also any sort of worker that you just sort of have to rely on going away and coming back with the good stuff, right? No two people are going to have identical motivations. And there is consensus that I don't want to get fired is an actively bad way to motivate people. There's been plenty of data on this, but anecdotally, I was speaking to a colleague earlier this week about how common spirals happen of this sort. You correct somebody on even something you think is a very, very small thing, like, okay, you'll get it next time kind of thing. And the person will just spiral into, this job is hard and no one likes me. Someone who is that prone to catastrophic thinking, there's no way that person is giving their best at work. Yeah, you might be motivated in the short term, but too much of your brain power is taken up what-ifing every kind of potential disaster. I knew there were going to be challenges when "I'm not here to make friends" became a rallying cry among millennials. And I looked up where this came from, and apparently the whole "I'm not here to make friends" shtick was popularized by reality TV shows like Survivor. where it was ostensibly about surviving the elements and doing competitions, but ultimately it was a popularity contest where people voted each other off the island. In a functioning team where everyone is playing their part, nobody gets voted off the island, nobody gets voted off the show, and Nobody Likes Me doesn't have a place. Because the team understands mutual respect. Yeah, your colleagues might not be people that you'd hang out with during social time. But if you respect what they bring to the table, that does not matter. I'm fortunate to have a job where I get to do something I believe in, a lot of things that I believe in. And sometimes it gets really tough. People don't get it. But the fact that I believe in it means that motivation and productivity, they're not massive struggles for me, except when I physically run myself down, and that is far too common a thing. My sweet spot for productivity is to take the parts of my job that feel really meaningful, right? Like just helping people go good crazy and, navigating this madness that we call mental health. I take that as the core of what I really care about. And then I contextualize the other stuff around it, like billing and scheduling and that kind of stuff. That's means to the meaningful end. Even in retail jobs, okay, there's a choice. Now, I'm not saying this is an easy choice, but there's a choice. You can center the nightmare customers in how you define your job, or you focus on the nice people. Someone I know, here's another little anecdote. She has been trying to broaden her horizons, working on self-improvement, right? And so she went to a restaurant for the first time all by herself. She ate dinner in public alone. And at the end, she thanked the staff for being so great because she was so nervous. And the staff said that she was the nicest customer they'd had there in a while. And think about being able to go home after a day like that, right? Being nice to service workers, I find, is a great way to remind yourself that everyone matters. If you're constantly predicting the worst, you're not gonna have your head in the game when it matters. You're not gonna be able to focus. And I've found a lot of people get branded lazy or uninvested or unengaged when they're just really constantly freaking out or on the verge of freaking out, so they're avoidant. This is why I say don't let problems that aren't your fault lead to mistakes that are. Don't focus on what can go wrong. Focus on what you can do right now. Liana at nottherapyshow.com is my email. Nottherapyshow.com is my website. At nottherapyshow on social media. You know what's coming. You're crazy is only a problem if it's hurting you. See you next time.